So when I was in Norfolk, I met this old blues man named Ernest Banks. He had one eye, and there's a long story about him, but to shorten it up, he told me these words of advice. He said, "You want to be a blues man, boy?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "Never write or sing about what you don't know about, and never play a note you don't believe." And he said, "Then you can be a blues man." So that stayed with me, and I kept that advice, and I hung out with him. I learned about some of that. I guess you call it the hoodoo stuff that they had, and all that stuff. Learned about that stuff, and learned that I didn't want to be any part of that anymore. I want to try something else. I did for a while, and then I went back to blues in Los Angeles, and I met George Harmonica Smith, Pee Wee Creighton, Lowell Fulson. I played with all of them. Lowell Fulson, Cleanhead Vincent, Mama Thornton, Big Joe Turner. I
Oh,
played.
wow.
I played with those guys, and uh, I remember one thing with George Harmonica Smith, who was my second mentor. We got done playing this show, and George, he come up to me and he said, "Doug," he called me Doug, Dubb, and I said, I said to him, I said, "Yes, George." He said, "Doug, you sure sound like B.B. King." And I said, "Oh, thank you, George." And George said, "That's not a compliment."
Ah,
So what he was saying was, it's time for Dub to sound like Dub. You understand?
ah. Back to the authenticity. Yeah, that's been your theme,
Yes.
sounds like.
Yeah, and they hooked up because of what Mr. Banks had told me. Never write or sing about what you don't.
Hmm.
You never play a note you don't believe. And here's George telling me, something about maybe 20 years later, something like that, saying the same darn thing. And I
Hmm.
think that's why, I think that was one of the seeds that dropped into me that I stopped playing with the electric band. I had a band, the Doug MacLeod band, and we had that for about 4 albums. And George had told me that, and that's when I went back to acoustic. Uh, Funny thing, uh, George and I traveled together, and we would share a room.
Hmm.
And one particular afternoon, George had said to me, he said, "Doug, you ever know about a big Bill Brunsey?" I said, "Yeah, I know him." He said, "Can you play anything by him?" I said, "Yeah," because before when I was in Norfolk, I was playing that. I was playing acoustic blues.
Hmm.
I said, "Yeah." He said to me, kind of like, "You can't play that." I said, "I can play it." And he said, "Okay, let's do Key to the Highway, Key of E." I said, "Okay," and I played it just not just like Brunsey, but sure you could tell there was a lot of Brunsey in it. And
Hmm.
George said, "Oh, you sure can play that." I said, "Yeah, I can play that." Oh, yeah. So I think he knew that that's where I was going to end up playing acoustic.